And hello and welcome back to another round, another season of the Virtual Drift Championship. This is season 10 now. My name is Craig. With me, as always, is Tanner. Welcome back, Tanner. What's up, dude?
Holy, season 10. What a wonderful summer. I hope everybody had a great summer, but now we're ready to go for another wonderful season and starting it off with a banger of a track. So excited when I saw this on the roster, and I was like, oh, this is going to be a fun day.
Yeah, absolutely. Going back to Anglesey Circuit, first time since 2019, and we only really used it for a licensing event, so it was qualifying only. A lot of qualifiers, though. I mean, if I remember right, we went for multiple days. I think close to 300 some odd drivers that attended, but we never ran battles on it. But we're back here, 2025, the very end of it, heading into 2026. We're back, Anglesey Circuit. Let's take a look at today's line map. Of course, going up the hill, we've removed the rolling start that we had previously in that very, very old iteration. Nuke Drop has done a fantastic update to the track, and we're starting at the bottom of that hill, driving up and entering in. Big decel zone there as you enter in, but nice and smooth. We won't want to see cars, of course, you know, putting the anchors down or anything and slowing up a lot. It's very similar to Riga, just going the opposite way. You throw in, you wait a second, and then you light off and head on down to clip number 2, your first inside clip, and then out to clip number 3 into this Manji section for clip 4, and then back down to clip 5 for your next decel zone. Another very smooth, and it's really meant to extend that line and open up a window for that chase later on today and tomorrow. And they'll drive around that inside clip number 2, clip 6, and head up a little hill while they'll fill outside zone clip 7. Not quite on the edge of the track. There's a little cone on the edge of the track, but the box has been brought in just a little bit to avoid a checkup before that lead car has to transition for that last and final outside zone and wall ride for clip number 8. So a little bit different there on that last and final turn as well from that super old 2019 version. Again, Nuke Drop doing a fantastic job with the update to the track. But here we are, round 1 for season 10. Almost everyone's showing up today, Tanner.
It's going to be a packed day, and I expect it to be. I mean, you looked at last season, where I think it was one of the wildest seasons in a long time. You know, everyone's going to come out this year fighting and wanting for it. And we got a lot of new drivers with us this year, too, so I'm excited to see what they can throw down. I think today is just going to be a great day, and a split day format, which means today's not the only day you get to hear us.
Yeah, absolutely. A new split format. So we'll do qualifying and our last 16 qualifying battles here today. And then we'll stop. And we have our main event, top 32, on Sunday tomorrow, actually scheduled. And so previously our main events always were kind of, the start time was dictated by when we finished qualifying in that last 16 qualifying battles, but now we've got a schedule for everybody on Sunday. It should give us, me and you, Tanner, some help, as well as our judges. You know, just making basically 7-hour days is what we were all doing last time. So drivers as well, days are cut short. I think it'll be a little bit easier, and the drivers are getting the track much later. Instead of a week, we've even done 2 weeks worth of practice if they in previous seasons before, but now just 24 hours is all they get. It looks like we have our first driver up to the line, Abdul Rahman. Al Shetwi, ready to go. Ready to kick things off for our first run of season 10. Abdul Rahman using all of that track and entering in. Nice line through turn 1, grabbing that inside clip all the way out there to that track edge. Good start from Abdul Rahman so far, picking up throttle, getting around that inside clip and filling that box right there. Good transition to finish it out. Sacrifice a little bit of angle and boops the wall a little bit and across that finish line. Not a bad way to start things out for round one.
Yeah, not a bad way at all. Abdulrahman really throwing it down there, and that's that final clip. That's the one, that final outer zone. That's one I thought was going to catch out a lot of drivers today watching practice yesterday. But a 90.8 on the board to start things off. We're already looking like last year, already into the 90s. As Linus Tornquist sits at the line, waiting to go for his first run of qualifying. The lights go on, and well, off he goes through the start gate, down the straight, initiates in. Looking good off the initiation, down the hill, fill in that inside clip. To the outer, to the next, through that Manji section. Yeah, really looking good out here, holding a good line, making it work, fill in the box. That box is just so great to see, not quite on the edge of the track, and doing the final clip perfectly. Linus really throwing it down out there.
Yeah, nicely done. Nice and clean on that last and final transition as well. 87.8 on the board for our second run. Season number 10. Up next, Danielis, Aaron Gauskas, rejoining us for another season in a new car. And through the chicane. For that flick and filling outside zone number one, a couple of little wobbles here and there as he works his way out to outside zone number two, filling three, now four, working his way up this small little hill, a little wide of that inside clip, a little offline as well afterwards, and last final transition, last outside zone as well, across that finish line. Another solid run on the board.
Really trying to go for it, Danielis there, but that's going to hurt his score just a little bit. But again, gets that second run, 85.3 for Danielis as Darius Ostreka sits on the line, waiting to go. Couple bobbles will be things he'll have to shape up for run number two. But that car looks beautiful, as you were saying, as we wait for the lights to turn on for Darius's run here.
Just having a little technical difficulty on seeing the light from Darius.
There we go. Light goes on. Darius Ostreka can start the run. Initiates in. Looking good through clip one. Down the hill so far. Through that inside clip. All the way out to fill out the next outer zone through the Manji section. Looking good. Through the next inside clip. All the way out to that box. Now to the final clip of the course. He almost gets out of it, but he saves it through the finish line.
Yeah, it is tricky, that last and final outside zone. Visually, it's tricky getting your car into the pocket after that transition, lighting off in time. 78.7 on the board, but he's got a second run, and we have just one driver not making it into battles today. 45 drivers showing up, 44 will qualify for battles. Playing a little bit more after Daniel's run here, throwing that BMW in, grabbing that inside clip, working his way to the outside, grabbing that zone. Next one as well. Good transition back. Using all of his wheel speed. And the last and final transition, all the way up against that wall, almost playing it a little safe, maybe a little scared, but he gets across that finish line, and he'll get some points on the board.
Yeah, you know, I think it was good for him to go the safe route of 92.5. That's the way to go. We all saw it. He got up on that wall and just went, oh, no, we're going to stay right here. I don't want to go any closer. William Holloway at the line in the FDRX7. And 92.5 from Daniel there. That puts him up at the top now for group number one. William Holloway sends it in through the initiation, through outer zone one, down the hill towards that inside clip. Looking good so far, all the way out to that track edge. Dropping a little bit of tire there in the Manji section as he comes up through that next inside clip. Tries to fill that whole outer zone. Now into the wall. No! William Holloway trying to stay committed, but going into the wall in the final outer zone.
Yeah, just a little bit too far there. Maybe waiting a little bit too long to pick up that throttle, and that will be 0 on the board. But he's got a second run. Again, just one. However, going home. Vladislav returning as a teammate with Tikon, entering in the last second there, driving his way down to that inside clip, out to the outside zone, leaving it maybe a little early. It could have been deeper there. Nicely done on that next one, though, around the inside clip, working his way up the small hill here, filling that zone. Last and final transition, and across that finish line.
Yeah, Vladislav there looked like he was playing it a bit safe, not quite filling out the zones, more so feeling out the car, feeling out the tracks, the track itself, getting an 86.8 on the board. Still has a second run and lots of improvement to do as Cameron Mustard now sits at the line. Supra becoming a very popular chassis here. He leaves the line, gets ready to start his first run of qualifying, initiates in, looking good off of the initiation down the hill, trying to grab that inside clip and does so, not quite filling outer zone 2 or 3, but still through it as he dives towards that next inside clip, and now that box that's not quite on the edge of the track but fills it beautifully into the wall ride of the final outer zone and finishes out the run strong.
Okay, Cameron leaving the R32. It became a big talk, amongst the drivers and everything, that Cameron Mustard leaving the R32 behind and going to the Supra, and a good score on the board, 88.8. Brett Wolford at the line. Now, the Team Heinz and RTR entering in, filling outside zone number 1, driving in a little soon, grabbing that inside clip, filling outside zone number 2, and working his way around this second inside clip now. And clean so far. Last and final outside zone along the wall and across that finish line, Brett Wolford.
Yeah, Wolford leaving a little bit of room there in the second to last outer zone, but still not an overall first run. And in that RTR car, man, they look good this year, those RTR cars. An 88.5 on the board. We move back over to Stephen Hatcher, the final driver of Group 1, before we go back up to the top and start the second part of the runs. Let's see what Steven can throw down here. Initiates in, looking good off the initiation. Grabbing that inside clip all the way to the second outer zone. Filling all of outer zone 3. Maybe dropping just a little bit of tire on outer zone 3 and 4. Grabbing inside clip 2. Even ripping it here, but it all comes down to this final outer zone. He puts it on the wall. Crosses the line. Steven.
Jeez. Yeah, 92.8 quick to pop up on the board for Stephen Hatcher. I was talking to him. He said he feels better than he ever has, at least in a long time. Has been putting in some practice and gets a good score on the board. Up next, Abdul Rahman for his second run back around to the top, as you said. 90.8 currently on the board. See what he's got for his second run. Initiating in almost late. Grabbing inside clip number 1. Filling that next outside zone. Looking good here through the Manji section. Thinning that out. Getting that little car around that inside clip. And perfect on the box there. Last and final transition. Good Lord. A little puff of dirt there. He makes it across that finish line.
Well, if that's not commitment, I don't know what is. That was a great run there from Abdulrahman, ending up with a 94.5, snatching away that top spot from Stephen Hatcher. So we have Linus Tornquist sitting on the line, hoping to improve on that 87.8 that he currently sits on. Initiating in, looking good off the initiation, driving down to that inside clip, all the way out to the edge of outer zone 2. Now through outer zone 3 into outer zone 4. Track edge to track edge. Has to get it slowed down. Just grabs the second part of that inside clip. Now all the way out to that outer zone. Kicking up some dirt as well into that final outer zone. Wow, they're getting brave around it.
They are. You gotta go for it if you want the big points on the board, and he does improve ever so slightly to an 88. Back around. Danielis Parangauskas, 85.3 currently on the board. Sitting towards the bottom of Group 1, working his way down to inside clip number 1. Filling that next outside zone. His way through that Manji section. Getting around the inside clip, but going just a little wide. Near perfect on that floating box, and really nicely done on that last and final wall.
A little hesitation there right at the end, and we were all, ooh, but he makes it through, gets the points on the board. Just waiting for the judges to put his score in. And a big improvement up to a 90.8 from that 85.3. So we move over to Darius Ostraka, sitting on a 78.7. Someone who's definitely going to want to improve here on run number 2. Initiates in, looks good through outer zone 1 off the initiation, drives it towards that inside clip, all the way to the track edge on outer zone 2. Now all the way to the track edge on outer zone 3. Doing the same on outer zone 4, maybe kicking up a bit of dirt nice and tight around that inside clip, and all the way out to the box for the second to last outer zone, and filling the final outer zone beautifully. That's definitely an improvement on that run.
Yeah, I like the aggressive light off there after that last and final transition, and Darius seems a little happy about it as well. Coming off that 78.7, would be quite the improvement. And there it is, 95.2, our new number 1 qualifier. Now, Daniel Andreev, 92.5 currently on the board. 4th here in group number 1, working his way down to that inside clip, near perfect. Grabbing that outside zone, like to see a little bit more angle. He pours it on there though, before transitioning for turn number 2, picking up that floating outside zone as well, picking up that throttle maybe a little late and getting across that finish line. Daniel Andreev.
Drivers really going for it on this second set of runs. They felt out the course, they felt out the car, now they're like, hey, now it's time to go. 94.3 for Daniel Andreev. Very good run. Now, it's make or break for William Holloway here at round 1. In the FDRX7, sitting on a 0. Gotta send it on this run. Initiates in, looks good through outer zone 1. And through that first inside clip, almost all the way to the track edge. Could use a little bit more angle, but making up for it through the Manji section as he drives it towards inside clip 2. Through the floating outer zone, a little wide through it. But now this is where it all went wrong for him. A little hesitation, gets back on throttle, and he completes the run and gets a score up on the board.
Ooh, not that time on that last and final outside zone. Coming off the 0, pressure was on. Williams should have a score on the board, 90.5. 6th here in group number 1. Now remember too, 24 hours of practice this time around. No more week worth of practice, just 24 hours allotted. I wonder if anyone stayed up all night long. Vladislav going for his second run here, working his way down to that second inside clip. Coming up a little bit short of the outside zone, but deep on that one. Good transition back around that inside clip. A little bit shy on that floating outside zone, picking up that throttle super deep out there and across that finish line.
Vladislav looking a little hesitant into the first 3 clips there on this course. Yeah, maybe it was a practice issue, not enough practice for him, but an 88.2 does improve on that 86.8. So we'll see how that lands him later on today. Sitting on the line now, Cameron Mustard in that new, to him, Supra. 88.8 on the board. Can he improve and see that it's better than the 32 that he switched from? Through outer zone 1, down to that inside clip. Little bobble on the wheel there as he tries to extend out to outer zone 2. Comes through the Manji section, starts to get to that track edge. Another little bobble there coming towards that inside clip. Gets through the floating outer zone. Makes the transition, although hesitant, into that final outer zone and crosses the line.
Yeah, he made it work, trying to better that 88.8, and he does with a 90.8 on the board for Cameron Mustard as he flies down the rest of the track. Brett Wolford back at the line, sitting on an 88.5, currently 8th here in group number 1. We're on the RTRN, filling outside zone number 1. Grabbing that inside clip, maybe a little bit tighter there, could have been a little bit deeper. We want to see him on that track edge. Nicely done there, staying off the rumble as well. Working way up the hill, filling that zone, and last and final one along that wall, crossing the finish line. Brett Wolford, debut in the RTR.
Yeah, way better second run there from Brett Wolford. 94.5 on the board. If I had to make any criticism, clean up the first little bit there, get a little deeper into outer zone 2. But guy who took the number 1 spot the last time around, sitting on a 92.8. Stephen Hatcher looking comfortable out there. Can he do it again? 95.2. Well, that's what he's kind of aiming for now. I haven't seen Stephen, drive this well in a long time. So let's see what happens. Through outer zone 1 off the initiation. Looking good through that inside clip all the way to track edge of outer zone 2. Through the Manji section. Track edge to track edge. Looking good so far in this S13. Through the inside clip, right to the edge of the floating outer zone. Now to that final outer zone, a little bobble as he goes through it. But a very clean and committed run from Stephen Hatcher.
Yeah, giving the wall just a little tap there before completing the run, trying to beat that 92.8, and he does, 94.3. And he seems excited about it, as he should be, putting himself into 4th position. So after group number 1, Darius Ostreka at the top with a 95.2. Abdul Rahman Al Shetwi with a 94.5. Brett Wolford also with a 94.5. Stephen Hatcher, 94.3, as well as Daniel Andreev. And we've got a couple of 90.8s on the board as well from Cameron Mustard and Daniela's Parengauskas. William Holloway making it into the 90s with his 90.5. For the rest of group number 1, Vladislav Yakulovich with an 88.2, and Linus Torkfus also with an 88 on the board. We've got Kevin and Maxime there on the board. They actually filled up just a tiny bit late, so got added to the list, and now they're showing up on the graphic, but that's all right. They're here to qualify. Again, just one driver going home today. Gonna be tough.
Yeah, it's, that's, I think, puts more edge on wanting to really do well here in qualifying today. Is there's only one driver going home. You don't want to be that one driver that doesn't make it into the last 16 battles later today. So, everyone's really going to go for it with the minimal practice. It's anyone's game, but these guys are already showing why we no longer are giving a week of practice, because it's only been 24 hours and it looks like they've already done over 1,000 laps.
Right, which, to be fair, the runs here, they're around 30 seconds. So, you know what I mean? Like, you can get a lot of the laps in within just a couple of hours. And I've seen a couple of people also ask too and mention, if it was just like real life, it'd be like 6 hours of practice, blah, blah, blah. Fair, but also at the same, if we're talking FD, you're only allowed 12 before qualifying happens, or now the seating bracket is super duper limited. But the reason why, so we've given our exhibition event that we had last year with Mid-Ohio, we gave them just an hour of practice, but we didn't have qualifying. The problem with Sim is if we give the track out just an hour in advance, those that are in the later groups of qualifying literally get 2 more extra hours of practice, because there is no stopping someone from just, hopping in single player or making their own server and just putting laps down until their group has been called. So 24 hours it is, and Simon Sandman has come to the line to kick things off for group number 2. See what Simon can put down for us. Now in the M2 and initiating in a slight bobble on that initiation, grabbing that inside clip, working his way down that hill, filling that outside zone. The next one as well, and a bunch of angle as he throws that car back, but goes wide for inside clip number 2. Grabbing that next outside zone though, and final transition along that wall. Nicely done and crossing the finish line. Simon Sandman.
Simon really kind of going for it there on run number 1. Had to really hop on the left foot brake there going into that first inside clip. The score does kind of show for it, but hey, still has a second run. 87.7 on the board as we have Victor Alves sitting at the line, ready to go. Watching some practice last night of Victor while I was getting everything set up. Let's see how he does here today in qualifying as he initiates in. Looking good through outer zone 1. Grabbing that inside clip, almost to the track edge there through outer zone 2, really throwing on the angle through outer zone 3 and 4 towards inside clip 2, nice and tight towards inside clip 2, all the way out to that floating outer zone, and a little wall tap into the final outer zone.
Yeah, nicely done from Victor Alves. Changing things up with the car, the livery. And an 85.5 on the board. Ethan Pikachu changing cars up now in the FDRX7 and initiating in, filling outside zone number 1 and working his way down to inside clip 1, filling outside zone 2, 3, and 4 right along that rumble strip. Maybe caught just a little bit of it. Could have been just a tiny bit closer to that inside clip. Nicely done on the final transition, but he taps the wall, straightens out a little bit, and crosses that finish line.
Yeah, Ethan really going for it in that new car, and an 88.3 on the board, so not a bad score at all. He has some improvements to make in run number 2, but really going for it as Brandon Patrick sits at the line, ready to go for run number 1. Initiates in, could have been a little deeper into outer zone 1 as he initiated in, but grabs that inside clip, goes all the way to track edge to outer zone 2, now into outer zone 3 and 4. Lots of angle being poured out of outer zone 4, but grabs that next inside clip beautifully, but comes up short for that floating outer zone. Makes up for it though for the final outer zone as they come across the line.
Yeah, nicely done from Brandon Patrick, returning back into the Z4 and doing all right. 88.2 on the board for his first run. Yaroslav Celio through the chicane in this very, very cool BMW. Not the GT3 car. It is a one-off kit and looking good through outside zone number 2, filling 3. And now 4, honestly leaving it a little soon there. Apex in that next turn just a little bit too soon, but gets around the inside clip, picks up that throttle, and fills that last and final outside zone.
Yeah, Yaroslav, again, going for it. Having a good time out there. 90.7 on the boards. That's a good score to have for run number 1. As we move over to, well, I think the next RTR driver, Nico Stalea. With Team Heinz. See how he gets down in the RTR this year. Throws it into outer zone 1. Looking good as he really drives it through that inside clip to get out to outer zone 2. Throwing on the angle through outer zone 3 and 4. Grabbing the next inside clip very nicely. Comes up a little short for fully filling out the floating outer zone, but beautifully takes on the final wall ride and crosses the line.
Yeah, that was really nice on that last and final transition from Nico, debuting the RTR as well, joining Team Heinze and RTR, and a 90.5 on the board. Kind of interesting, or interested in seeing the maybe internal competition that the RTR guys might have this season. It's 4 of them. So Reese Allen, Brett and Nico. Here's Ticon initiating in for his first run of season 10. Always pleasure having Ticon joining us each season. He works his way through that Manji section of the course around that inside clip, filling that next outside zone and picking up throttle. Nicely done from Ticon Pileski crossing the finish line.
Smooth and calculated from Ticon as always, and it's always great to see him back and showing everybody, hey, this is exactly where you put your car and this is how you do it. 92 on the board. Great first run as we wait for Braden Swan. There he is to the line. Braden Swan in the 370Z. The lights go on and run number 1 for him can start. Initiating in, looking good on the initiation, just getting up on that rumble just a little bit as he comes through that first outer zone all the way to the, or first inside clip to the second outer zone, all the way to the track edge, through outer zone 3 and 4 into the next inside clip, all the way to the floating outer zone edge, and then nicely into outer zone, the final outer zone and across the line.
Yeah, great run and a quick score to pop up on the board. 93.5 on the board for Braden Swan. His first run of season number 10. His teammate, John Reeves. Rampage. Initiating in the C6, returning with a new kit, new livery. Looking good through turn number 1. Going that outside zone. Transitioning a little safe, using some left foot brake to get around that inside clip. Filling that next outside zone. The last and final transition. Nicely done along that wall. And crossing the finish line.
Sean Reeves really going for it, and that kit looks beautiful on that C6, a 93.2 as we come to our last driver here of Group 2 before going back up to the top and starting the second set of runs. Lucas Pasquini. In the E90. Beautiful car. Lights go on. And there he goes. Down the straight, initiates in. Looking good so far through outer zone 1 off that initiation, down to that inside clip, all the way out to track edge for outer zone 2. Now through 3 and 4, doing good through that Manji section, lining the car up nice, get nice and tight around that inside clip. Getting it out wide enough to hit that floating outer zone. A little bobble coming into the final outer zone, and a little touch on the wall before finishing out the first run.
Yeah, not a bad way to start out the season for Lucas. 89 on the board, and we're back around. Simon Sandman at the line in the M2 through the chicane. Away he goes for a second run, trying to better the 87.7 and throws that car into that initiation, but goes wide of inside clip number 1, fills that next outside zone, and the next picking that one up as well, working his way around that inside clip, going wide, but grabbing that next outside zone. Last and final one here along the wall and crossing that finish line.
Simon really pushing to try and improve that score, but kind of saw some of the same mistakes we saw in run number 1. Ends up with an 85 for run number 2. So he's got to hope that that 87 might be enough to escape the last 16 battle, or he'll end up in it and have to fight for a top 32 spot. Victor Alves sitting at the line, sitting on an 85.5, wanting to improve. Alves lines it up, initiates in, looking good through outer zone 1, dives it towards that first inside clip into outer zone 2, just grabbing that yellow line in outer zone 2 and 3, all the way filling outer zone 4 nicely through that inside clip, a little wide, but that'll line him up for outer zone 5, now into 6. The final wall ride, taps the wall, but it doesn't upset him as he stays on throttle and crosses the line.
Yeah, completes the run and gets another score on the board, and it's an 89.5. So improving from the 85.5. Working his way up the board, now 14th. Here in group number 2. Ethan, ready for his second run. 88.3 currently on the board. Can he improve? Currently 16th. And initiating in, but it is late. He's going to go wide. He needs to drive that car in and misses that inside clip. Grabbing that next outside zone through this Manji section here. Good transition back, picking up that throttle. Getting around the inside clip. Picking up that floating zone out there. And giving the wall a tap before crossing the finish line.
A little bit of a scrappy run there from Ethan, that late initiation, and then just kind of some of the mistakes throughout the run. Lands him with an 82.8 for run number 2. We'll move on to Brandon Patrick now, sitting at the line again on an 88.2. We'll see what they can do for run number 2. It initiates in. Looking good through outer zone 1, down through the first inside clip. A little, not quite as filling all of outer zone 2, but doing good through the Manji section into that next inside clip. Filling out outer zone 5, and now doing a good job through outer zone 6. Really nailed it around that one, but some of the beginning of the run, we'll see what the judges say.
We wait on that score, and there it is, a 94 on the board. Mr. Brandon Patrick. 6th position now. Yaroslav back at the line. And initiating in, that big car driving that down to the inside clip. Nicely done. Grabbing outside zone number 2. 3 as well. Having 4, picking up that throttle, getting around that inside clip, maybe a little bit tighter. Near perfect on that floating box out there. Picking up that throttle and across that finish line.
Yaroslav. That's the Yaroslav we know from last season. That was a wild second run. 93.2 on the board. Very good job indeed from Yaroslav as Nico Stelea sits on the line on that 90.5. Second run in the Team Heinze RTR Mustang through outer zone 1, down to that inside clip, pushing all the way out to outer zone 2, right along that yellow line. Now through outer zone 3 and 4 into the inside clip 2. Looking good, holding angle, right through that floating outer zone. And the final drive through that wall ride and across the line. Nico looking good on run number 2.
Yeah, strong run. We'll wait and see if that is an improvement. Little something doing there in that run. Yeah, 93.5 on the board. Picking up throttle maybe just a little bit too soon after that Manji section, outside zone number 4. And then having to work his way around that inside clip. Without that, near perfect. Deacon Pileski. 92 currently on the board. Initiating in. Filling outside zone number 1. A strike of lightning in the background. I'm not sure what happened as he works his way through the Manji section. Picking up that next outside zone. Working his way around that inside clip. Econ dialed in here for run number 2. And across that finish line. I thought commentators cursed him. But not Ticon.
No, Ticon doesn't believe in that. And yeah, I don't know. That was a random strike of lightning. It wasn't just you. I think it was all of us. I was like, I thought my computer exploded and I was already reaching for the backup. But Ticon, 94.8 on the board after that run as we move to Braden Swan. 93.5 already. Can he improve it? Time will tell. The lights go on and run number 2 starts for Braden Swan. Initiates in, looking good through that first outer zone, down towards that inside clip. Pushing all the way, mostly to the track edge there on outer zone 2. Nicely done through 3 and 4. Driving the car through that inside clip, up to that floating outer zone. The final wall ride. Slowed it down just a little bit, got a little scared, but finishes out the run.
Yeah, came across the finish line almost straight as he tries to better the 93.5. Yeah, 90.8 on the board. I think without that, it would have been very, very close for Mr. Swan. And next up, Reeves initiating in our only C6 Corvette. A little step in his initiation there, but he gets around that inside clip, number one, nicely as he works his way through the rest of the course here, picking up that throttle, dropping just a little bit of tire, just enough to kick up a tiny little bit of dirt. Last and final transition along that wall and crossing the finish line.
John Reeves ended it in the C6 Corvette, and the score shows for it 96 on the board, and I believe that makes him our new top qualifier of the day so far. We move to our last run of Group 2. Lucas Pasquini, in the E90, initiates in, looks good off the initiation, drives it towards that inside clip, filling all of outer zone 2, now into outer zone 3 and 4. Looking good so far, really trying to get that car into that outer zone and really grabbing in that inside clip through the next floating outer zone. But a very nice run indeed here from Lucas.
Yeah, dialed in. Trying to better the 89, and he does with the 91.2 on the board. So that is 2 groups of qualifying down. And we've got big scores on the board already. Again, after 24 hours of allotted practice, Rampage sits on top. Number 1 qualifier currently with a 96 on the board. Darius Ostreka right behind him with a 95.2. And Tikon Pileski in that 3rd position, 94.8 on the board. Just 90s all over the place here in 2 groups of qualifying. Tanner, what you think?
It always blows my mind at how fast these drivers can adapt to the situation. You know, we give them 24 hours and we can make it look like we've been doing this for 2 weeks. And it's so great to see. Even the newcomers, they just immediately hop in and go, all right, we know what needs to be done. Time to lay down the run. All the nerves go away. And we see the scores as they are, and we're only 2 groups in.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll take just a short break and come right back with our 3rd group of qualifying. Stay with us. Welcome back, everyone. We've got Group 3 loaded on into the server. And ready to go. Well, not quite ready. They're getting a couple of practice runs in as we allow each group. Make sure all of their equipment is working and ready to go for their qualifying runs. Maybe work some of those jitters out before we send them off. But again, just crazy scores on the board already. If you're just now joining us, Mr. Reeves on top with the 96. Gary Sostraka with a 95.2 and Tikon Pilecki 94.8. Round out your current top three. Again, just two groups of qualifying down, and again, just 90s all over the board. I think we only have just a couple of drivers that don't have a 90. All the way down to 15th position. William Holloway with his 90.5, and then Victor Alves right behind him with the 89.5. Again, new rules this season. Also, if you're just now joining us, 24 hours of allotted practice. So the track was given out yesterday to the drivers 24 hours in advance. Where typically we would give 1 week. We've even done 2 weeks as well. Now we're cutting that down, putting the pressure on, but they are looking like, looking like last year with 1 week of practice. Really doesn't matter. Sure, you could argue that it's a returning track, but I can't remember the last time I've seen a server or even much less thought about running the track. And that old version doesn't really perform all that well, so I'm not really sure. You know what I mean? Like, has anyone been running Anglesey?
I mean, I can't even remember the last time I loaded this track, which I think would have been 2019. So it's crazy to see what these guys can do with just 24 hours worth of practice. Some of them probably haven't slept, but it is absolutely mind-boggling to see what they can throw down here in qualifying. And I'm sure we haven't seen the end of it. Have you seen what Group 2 and 3 has in it? We're nowhere near the end yet. We're ready for some mind-boggling stuff happening here.
Yeah, absolutely. As Marcus Lundqvist comes to the line. Just on time there. Start group number 3. Now, I think the oldest car as far as car model in the field, Marcus, since Cameron Mustard leaving the R32, Marcus staying. An Old Faithful initiating in, almost too late there, running a little wide. Runs a little wide of that inside clip. Could use a little bit more angle there, heading down that hill there as well through the smudgy section, coming up short of that outside zone and going wide of that inside clip. A little bit of a messy run here from Marcus. As he crosses that finish line, he'll get some points on the board, but he's got a second one.
He does got a second one. Mr. Pink Drifter's gotta clean it up for run number 2 there. Maybe he had some pre-run jitters. Next up to the line, well, Team Heinze himself, the current virtual drift champion, Alan Hines, in that Team RTR Mustang. Ready to go for run number 1. Let's see what he lays down. Great initiation through outer zone 1, down towards that inside clip, pushing it all the way to that track edge through outer zone 2, and looking great through the Manji section through outer zone 3 and 4. Nice and tight to that inside clip, all the way out to the floating outer zone, and this textbook run from Alan Hines.
Yeah, he's on the thumbnail for a reason. Alan Hines throwing down for his first run. 93 on the board. Ernestes now at the line, ready to go for his first run. He works his way up the hill now. Initiating in, big angle, picks up that throttle and works his way down to that inside clip. Gets around it, grabs that next outside zone. Good angle there through the Manji section, picking up that throttle, extending that line and getting around that inside clip. Perfect on the box. Last and final transition, but goes a little bit too deep. Grabs a piece of the wall, crossing that finish line. Ernestes
Good job on Ernestus to not lose it after hitting that wall. He really buried the throttle to keep it in drift. Ends up with a 90.3, so a good save to what could have ended up being a 0. As Masashi Yoshida sits at the line, ready to go. First run of qualifying in that sedan. Love that. Love that wagon. It is so nice. Through outer zone 1 into that inside clip, maybe just a little wide for that inside clip as he comes through the Manji section, through outer zone 3 and 4, now into the inside clip to push all the way out. Masashi looking good here as he comes into outer zone 5, touches the wall, and crosses the line.
The wall catching people out. Masashi, another victim. But getting across the finish line, you should get some points on the board. Just some deductions, 86. Again, just one driver not making it into battles later today. In our top 32 main event tomorrow, same time, 3 p.m. GMT. Alexander Yegard returning back into the Supra and looking good through turn number 1 here, filling that next outside zone. Ooh, dropping a little bit there. Using a little bit of that rumble, getting around that inside clip. Near perfect on the box. Nice and smooth on that last and final outside zone. Bit of a safe run from Alexander Yeager, but points on the board.
Yeah, 88.2 for Alexander there. You know, getting out of shape there through 3 and 4, but again, second run, able to clean it up. Oliver Blas coming at us, in a new car to me anyways, in an E36 this year. That's sweet to see. Olivier sending it in through outer zone 1. Into that inside clip, pushing all the way out. That second outer zone, now through the Manji section of outer zone 3 and 4. Looking good so far in the new chassis. And yeah, good clean run here from Olivier.
A solid run and a 90 on the board. Was up late last night on the practice servers with his teammate Maxime and even Hatcher getting laps in. And it pays off, 90 on the board, 18th position here in group number 3. Daniel Mora returning back in the E30. He's been in this thing for quite some time as well. Initiating in, picking up that throttle and working his way down to the inside clip, but goes just a little wide of it. Could have been a little bit deeper on that outside zone, but nicely done on the next two. Getting around the inside clip again, a little bit wide. Grabbing that box though. Last and final transition really slows up a lot though before crossing that finish line.
Yeah, Daniel Mora, good run, but yeah, some of those mistakes definitely got to clean up for in run number 2 and 82.8 on the board. So something he will definitely be looking back to and thinking about for run number 2. Another new driver at the line, Juanin. See what they can do on their first run. Initiates in really shallow into outer zone 1, doesn't fill out all of that zone, but comes through the inside clip in outer zone 2 nicely, starting to make up for it now in the Manji section. Goes up on the rumble strip just a little bit, but nicely grabs that next inside clip, filling out all of outer zone 5 and now into 6. A little wobble as he comes through outer zone 6, but finishes out his first run.
Yeah, not bad, but needs to do better on the score. Again, one driver going home, 75.5 on the board. On him. Luciano getting through the chicane. Off for his first run of season 10. New car for him as he works his way down to that inside clip. Grabs it, fills that next outside zone. Looking good through the Manji section here. Picking up speed and extending that line out nicely to grab that inside clip. Work his way towards that box. Fill it nicely. Last and final outside zone. Good run from Luciano.
Luciano really throwing it down there for run number 1. He's like, I already know the course. I know how to do this. Let's put up a high score right off the hop. As we wait for the autofill to work. There it goes. 93.8 on the board. Very good run from Luciano for the first run as Robert Kavinsky sits at the line. Gets the go-ahead and off he goes. The last driver of group number 3 qualifying's going by in a flash as he comes through outer zone 1 through that first inside clip, trying to get all the way to track edge on outer zone 2. But comes a little short on getting all the way to the track edge, but fills the floating outer zone nicely into that final wall ride, puts it right up against the wall. Little dance there before crossing the finish line.
Yeah, nicely done from Robert. Start things off for his season. Waiting for that score and a 92.7 on the board. Back around to Marcus. Mr. Pink Drifter, 73.5 on the board. Currently sitting at the bottom. Here in group number 3. 4 groups of qualifying today. 45 drivers showing up. Marcus looking much better here on run number 2. Coming up short of that outside zone again, though. He's trying to work it back into the inside clip. It's throwing his line way off. It might throw his last transition off as well. It does a little bit. Grabs a piece of the wall and across that finish line.
It was all going so well till it wasn't, and sadly ends up with a 69.5 for run number 2. So that's 73.5. He's got to hope that he can make it into battles later today for that last 16 elimination. Alan Hines back at the line. Team Heinze in the RTR Mustang sitting on that 93 coming into run number 2. Well, let's see what run number 2 can offer him. Initiates in, looking great into outer zone 1, driving it down towards that inside clip and extending it all the way out to track edge for outer zone 2. Grabbing outer zone 3, maybe dropping tire though through outer zone 3 as he sends through outer zone 4. Grabs that inside clip into outer zone 5 now. One last wall ride to go right along the edge, but maybe driving off of it soon. Near the end before the finish line.
Yeah, so there's coming into the last and final outside zone, you come up over a little hump and then go back down and into a very smooth little crevice. And if you don't get it right, it's very easy for that rear to get out ahead of you, and just real slow spin basically. And that's exactly what happened to Alan. Too much angle and drove out of that. That's the final outside zone. Ernestas working his way through turn number 1, grabbing that next outside zone and looking good through the Manji section. Extending that line out nicely, getting around that inside clip should set him up perfect for that floating box. Picking up throttle for the last and final outside zone and across that finish line.
Ernestas already sitting on that 90.3, comes home with a 90.3, comes home with a 93.7 now for run number 2. So a great second run for Ernestas as Masashi Yoshida sits at the line on an 86. Looking to improve, initiates in, looking great off the initiation through outer zone 1, gets right in to that next inside clip and pushes all the way out for outer zone 2. Makes up in the Manji section, going track edge to track edge through the next inside clip. Looking good so far for Masashi. One more outer zone to go. One last wall ride. Yeah, nice, clean, solid run.
Absolutely, wow. Masashi throwing out in the wagon. Looking good in run number 2 and a 93.7 on the board as well. You back-to-back 93.7s. Alexander Yegard at the line ready to go for his second run. 88.2 currently on the board. Sitting 24th. One more group of qualifying to go. Can he better the 88.2? Looking good so far through turn number 1. Grabbing that second outside zone. Third as well. Heading into the 4th. Grabbing it. A little bit of, whoa, no. Ends up super inside of that inside clip. Dropping a little bit of tire in that last outside zone, but crossing the finish line. I think he'll have to settle with his 88.2 on the board.
Yeah, that major mistake, that's going to cost him a lot, and it does. It's a nice number on the board, but not a nice number when you're a driver trying to score as high as possible. 69 on the board for the second run for Alexander Yagard, sitting at the line now on a 90. Olivier, ready to try out run number 2. Wanting to improve on the 90, but the 90 is not a bad score to have. Initiates in. Looking good through outer zone 1 as he drives it towards that inside clip. Trying to fill all of outer zone 2. Doesn't quite do it, but makes up for it through outer zone 3 and 4 out of that Manji section. And grabbing the next inside clip nicely. Filling that floating outer zone. Maybe going a little wide for it. Trying to put it as deep as possible in the final outer zone and finish out the run.
And nicely done. Olivier, 86.8. He'll have to hang on to his 90. That 90 is a solid score. Let's bring up that cut off box, 82.8. Was needed to lock yourself into top 32. Here's Daniel Mora with that 82.8 on the board. He can better it. Might lock himself into that top 32 tomorrow. Be done early today. Final transition. Grabbing that wall and across that finish line. Is that going to be enough? Better the 82.8.
It's going to be close, but it looked like a better run, and it definitely was. An 86 now for Daniel Mora. So bumping it up just a little bit to hopefully give him a bit of leeway, as there's still a whole nother group to go. Juanan at the line, ready for run number 2, sitting on a 75.5. Oh, he's sitting in that elimination zone, so he's got to improve. Drives through outer zone 1, comes through that inside clip, gets through outer zone 2 nicely. Now through the Manji section. This run's looking a lot better for Juanan here. Gets through outer zone 5 and now into outer zone 6. And keeps it nice and tidy through. That should definitely improve on that 75.5.
And it does. 87.7 on the board. The new top 28 cutoff score. Luciano, currently safe. 93.8 on the board. Any better at for tomorrow's main event. Initiating in, a little safe on that initiation as he works his way down to that inside clip, grabbing outside zone number 2, filling 3 right along that track edge. 4-4 as well, but wide for the inside clip number 2. Good on the floating box, picking up that throttle along the wall and crossing that finish line. Not bad. Is it enough to beat the 93.8? Gonna be close.
And not enough. An 87 on the board for run number 2. So he'll hang on to that 93.8 as his highest score as we come to the last driver of Group 3. Robert Kavinsky sitting on a 92.7. Let's see what happens here with the final run of Group number 3. Where we go into our final group of qualifying before the last 16 battles later today. Tons of speed coming into outer zone 1 through that inside clip, trying to fill all of outer zone 2. Doesn't quite get to that track edge, but makes up for it for outer zone 3 and 4. Drives it nicely around that inside clip and through the floating outer zone. One more transition, one more roll ride for Robert Kavinsky as he crosses the line and maybe hoping to improve on that 92.7.
That's going to be close. Again, last and final driver here in group number 3 and an 87.8 on the board. So he'll remain with that 92.7 on the board, but a good score to have. We'll pull up the full list of scores there. Again, Rampage on top. Number 1 with that 96 on the board. Super run he had earlier. Darius Ostraka, 95.2 on the board, and Tikhon Pileski back in the top 3 qualifiers, 94.8, with just one more group of qualifying left to grow. Group 4 coming up. And again, just one driver not making it into battles later today. We're going to have our last 16 qualifying battles right after qualifying. And again, that is the 29th through 44th qualifiers getting put into a top 16 bracket. We go all the way until we have 4 drivers left. And then those 4 drivers get slotted into those remaining 4 slots in the top 32 tomorrow, based on their qualifying scores right now. Right, getting close to that final call from those judges. Group 4 getting their last little bit of practice runs in before we send them off for their qualifying runs. Another strong group ahead. I mean, every single qualifying group is strong here in the Virtual Drift Championship. But to lead us off, Zach O'Sullivan, and then Daniel Cuddy right behind him. Vitaly Isov, Stanislav Tarasov, Victor Lacheris, Liam Akihiko. Hope I'm saying that right, Liam. Augusto Fidana, Oliver Eppinger, Matej Orvik, Reese Tatterson, Mustafa Amine, Nick Hang, Dimitri Mitten, Kevin Stump, and Maxim Guy. All up next in this final group of qualifying. And then again, right after we go into our last 16 qualifying battles, if you're just now joining us. So we'll get some battles today, and then we'll be back tomorrow for the top 32 main event here for round 1, Anglesey Circuit. Tanner, you got predictions for tomorrow?
Oh man, I mean, it's crazy this year seeing how it's really shaken up. I mean, we saw mistakes from Allen. T-Con's looking great. Dijon coming out of nowhere, laying down that 96. We'll see what happens here in Group 4, but I think we might be in for a little bit of a treat, maybe a little mix-up from what we're used to from our usual 3 suspects. You know what I mean? Even Stephen Hatcher, you know, shout out to him on just absolutely coming back into form after maybe a couple of years of not doing so hot. It's crazy to see what this year is bringing, this season.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I mean, look at Rampage on top right now, the number 1 qualifying spot. Can he be knocked off of it in this last and final group?
And a big final group it is too.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I like, so we've seen the track before, right? And, the layout's just a little bit different, but we've never gotten to see any competition battles on it. So today will be the first time we'll see them go head to head.
I think it's going to be great, especially that final outer zone.
Yeah, absolutely. And it looks like we have Group 4 ready to go. Zach O'Sullivan, prior champion as well, initiating in back in the E36. Very similar to his real life car as far as visually. He works his way through the Manji section of the course, having that next outside zone around that inside clip, filling that floating outside box there. Oh my goodness, all the way up against the wall, crossing that finish line, going for the #1 position.
Zach! Wow! What a first run. 94.8 on the board for just run #1, just for getting settled. A great way to start things off for Group 4. Samuel Cuddy at the line now in that E46. Let's see what Samuel Cuddy can do for run #1. Initiates in. Looks good on the initiation. Right to angle through outer zone 1. Through that inside clip. Pushing all the way to track edge for outer zone 2. Now through 3 and 4. Looking good through those two outer zones as well. Grabbing nice and tight to that inside clip. The second one through the floating outer zone. Checks up just a little bit to get settled for that final wall ride, but makes it through.
Yeah, makes it through indeed for his first run of the season. 91.2 on the board for that run as well. Dally running back in his not Supra. He works his way through the chicane nice and smooth, initiating in, filling outside zone #1 and working his way down to the inside clip. Nice and smooth through the Manji section here, staying off that rumble, picking up that throttle, getting around that inside clip. Perfect onto that box. Vitali going for it as well, crossing the finish line. Strong run to start things out.
Vitali coming out swinging for his first run here of Group 4. A 97 on the board. Knocks down Dijon Rees from that top spot. And now he takes it with that 97. Stanislav Tarasov sitting at the line. Just watch that impressive run from Vitali. Now got to answer as well. Let's see what Stanislav can do. Light goes on and off he goes. Initiating in, looking good off the initiation through outer zone 1, down towards that first inside clip, not quite getting to the track edge of outer zone 2, dropping some tire through outer zone 3, touching the rumble in outer zone 4. Stanislav looking a little shaky, but it is only run #1. Dives towards that final wall ride, puts the bumper on the wall and sends it home.
Yeah, not too bad of a run there. A couple of little things to fix for his second one, and it's an 82.5 on the board. Nice and aggressive through that run. Just, again, a couple of little things. Dropping that tire, leaving that outside zone a little bit too early. Here's Victor Lucheris for his first run here in our last and final group of qualifying, working his way down to that inside clip, filling the next outside zone. And nice and smooth on the transition. Works his way around the inside clip there. Good on the box as well. Drivers are dialed in here in group number 4 and working his way across that finish line.
Very good job indeed there from Victor. 87.2, not a shabby start. See what he can do in run number 2 as we have Liam Akihiko sitting at the line. New driver here, another first run. Let's see what one of the rookies can do. Initiating in that GR86. Looking good off the initiation into inside clip 1, all the way out to outer zone 2, through the Manji section now. Looking good through outer zone 3 and 4 as well. A nice solid run here so far from Liam. Really throwing on the angle out of that floating outer zone to make his way through the final outer zone and cross the line.
Yeah, good from Liam. 88.8 on the board. His first run here in Virtual Drift Championship. Augusto back in a new car, and I must say it is my favorite out of the field. Augusto, R34, throwing that thing to big angle, grabbing that inside clip, and working his way out to that outside zone number 3. Now 4. Could have been a little bit deeper there. We want to see him on that track edge, just ever so slightly grabbing that inside clip. Last and final transition, working his way deeper out to the wall and crossing the finish line. Not a bad run from Augusto.
Augusto really sent it on that run, and I have to agree with you, Craig. That 34 looks amazing. Even the Team Excellence livery, I think,
It's
is
insane.
just absolutely outstanding this year. I even gave them credit last night when I was doing some setup work. I was like, wow, you guys nailed it. Oliver Eppinger sitting at the line as Augusto sits on that 91. Oliver Eppinger ready to go for their first run of qualifying, initiating in. Looking good off the initiation as they drive it down towards that inside clip now to fill out all of outer zone 2. Make the transition to outer zone 3, now into 4 out of that Manji section. Find that next inside clip and drive to that floating outer zone. One more outside zone to go. One last wall ride. Oliver Eppinger putting on a nice, smooth, and clean run.
Yeah, getting all the way out there for that last and final outside zone along that wall as well. And the 91 on the board. Strong score for Oliver. Gage, ready to go for his first run here in the Virtual Drift Championship. As he got in store, initiating in, leaving outside zone 1 a little bit early, has the left foot brake to get his way around that inside clip and shows up to outside zone 2 a little early, grabs 4, leaves it a little early, works his way around that inside clip, grabbing the box. That's the final transition and finishing out his first run strong.
Yeah, not a bad first run at all. 89.8. That's nothing to shake a stick at. That's pretty good for your first time here. So very good job indeed. And we'll see what you have for run number 2. As Reese Tatterson, another one of the Team Heinze RTR Mustangs, sits at the line. Lights go on. Let's see what Reese can throw down this season. Initiates in, looking good off the initiation. Could have been a bit deeper into outer zone 1, but really does a good job to that inside clip and outer zone 2. Makes the transition for 3, now into 4, stays off the rumble, looking good through the next inside clip. Reese Tatterson on a tear here. Looking good doing it as he has a little bobble there coming into that final outer zone. Don't want to throw it all away and get those points on the board.
No, not at all. And he gets a 90 on the board, 90.2. Strong scores from RTR team and Team Heinze. Mustafa, ready to go in his new car. Alteza. IS. I think it's left-hand driving. I honestly can't remember, but look at there. Look at the initiation from Mustafa working his way down around that inside clip. Number 1 filling the next outside zone. 3 and now 4. Nicely done. Little bobble there heading up to the inside clip. It goes a little bit wide of the box. Last and final transition, and he stays off that wall and across that finish line.
What a nice run there from Mustafa Amine, and what a cool car. I love seeing the ISs slash Altezas slash whatever you want to call them. The SXE chassis, very nice car. 94.7 on the board. What a run from Mustafa Amine. So we got Nick Hang sitting at the line, well, ready to hang it all out there once again this season. Great to have you back in the beautiful Cosworth, I believe that was. Initiates in through outer zone 1, carrying lots of speed as he comes down through that inside clip all the way to track edge of outer zone 2, now into 3. through the Manji section, clearing all of outer zone 4 right to the edge, and nicely done around that inside clip. Beautiful through the floating outer zone. Now through the wall ride, Nick Hang throwing it down.
Yeah, nicely done. Returning back, in the Sierra. Very Dylan Hughes with delivery. But it looks good. It fits. I am a fan. 92.7 on the board. Nick Hang. Dimitri Mitten ready to go for his first run here in group number 4, our last and final group of qualifying before we head into the last 16. Initiating in, but a little late, goes a little wide, grabs that inside clip, grabbing outside zone number 2, now 3, and down to 4, working his way around that inside clip, grabbing that box, picking up that throttle, a little careful on it, but crossing the finish line and getting some points on the board.
Dimitri Mitten comes home with a 90.8 on run number 1. So very good starting score indeed, and a good run from Dimitri Mitten. Kevin Stump now at the line. Ready to go for run number 1. Big final group here for group 4. So we're almost back around to the top. Kevin Stump initiates in, maybe even dropping a little tire off of that initiation through outer zone 1. Gets through that inside clip, now clears all of outer zone 2 and 3. Transitions for 4, could have been a bit deeper into outer zone 4. Left some room on the table as he climbs up the hill, grabs that floating outer zone, puts it on the wall in that beautiful S15 and crosses the line.
Yeah, not too shabby from Kevin Stump. Definitely a little bit safe on it, but at 88.2 on the board for Kevin Stump. That's going to put him safe into battles. Maxime, our last and final driver here in group number 4. We go back around to the top for our second runs here in group 4. Maxime driving down super early to that inside clip. He manages to grab outside zone number 2, drops a little bit on 3 and a little bit on that rumble strip. For 4, judges want to see a driver staying off the rumble strips here. Last and final transition, a little puff of dirt there, and across that finish line. I'm not sure how the drivers are honestly getting away with that, but they're doing it.
You know, even though it was only an 86.8, some small keynotes to fix for Maxine's run, and I think that could be a really solid run if he gets that fixed up for run number 2. But back up to the top of group 4. Sitting on a 94.8, a previous VDC champion, Zach O'Sullivan. Ready to go for run number 2. Initiates in, looking great off the initiation, driving it towards that inside clip, nice and tight to the inside clip, and filling all of outer zone 2 through the Manji section, outer zone 3 into 4, right along that yellow line, and beautifully done through the next inside clip, grabbing all of that floating outer zone, now into the final wall ride, dialed in, and across that line. What a run from Zach.
Yeah, nicely done from Zach. Will it be enough to better the 94.8 he already has on the board? And he does. 96.5 now on the board and into second position, just behind Vitaly's 97. Samuel Cuddy ready to go. Is 91.2. Initiating in, leaving outside zone 1 just a little bit too early. Goes wide for inside clip 1, but grabs outside zone number 2, 3, 4 as well. Picking up that throttle maybe a little bit too soon. Has to make that a correction to get around that inside clip number 2. And picking up throttle for the last and final outside zone along that wall, crossing the finish line. Is it going to be enough to better the 91?
Yeah, it's going to be close. I mean, it does. 92.3 on the board for Samuel Cuddy's second run. For a second, I thought he was going to drive right into that wall, but he stayed out of it and stayed on it and got that nice score of the 92.3. Now, the current top scorer in qualifying, Vitaly Azeyev, maybe wanting to improve on that 97, sends it through outer zone 1, brings it down to that inside clip, beautifully filling all of outer zone 2 and 3 and 4. Drives towards that inside clip, beautifully done around the inside clip, filling that floating outer zone. What a run we're seeing here from Vitaly Azeyev, almost a mirror to his first run. Very good job indeed.
Yeah, okay, really only one spot that I can think of, and there it is, 97.3. So just a little bit stepped on his transition across outside zone number 4. Is really the only thing I can think of. Stanislav ready to go for his second run, trying to better the 82.5. Currently is that top 44 cutoff spot, so he is into battles, but can he improve and make his way on into the top 32 for tomorrow? And he cut his day short here. Final transition, picking up that throttle and across the finish line. Nicely done from Stanislav.
Yeah, Stanislav really wanting to improve that 82, and he does. He gets it dialed in for run number 2, 93 up on the board. That's a huge improvement. Victor Lachera sitting on the line with an 87.2. The driver probably wanting to hopefully get into the 80s, and he's known to, or into the 90s, and is known to do so. Victor Lachera initiates into outer zone 1, maybe a late initiation. It was very slow to angle through it getting into outer zone 1, but now through outer zone 2, filling it nicely. Little shallow into outer zone 3, filling all of outer zone 4 nicely through that inside clip. Getting that floating outer zone, looking good. Now in the second half of the course, Victor Lachera finishes out his second run of qualifying.
Yeah, will it be enough to? It is 92.7, cutting me off quickly. So that'll put him into tomorrow's top 32, and that top 28 cutoff. 90.8, that'll get you into tomorrow's top 32 locked in. Liam, 88.8, currently on the board. He can better it. Might just find himself into the top 32 tomorrow as well. Liam working his way around that inside clip. Nicely done on that floating box slash transition. My goodness, little puff of dirt just before the wall and across that finish line.
Well, Liam sure does look happy about it. We'll see what the judges say. A 94.5 for Liam Akihiko. So I think we're going to see him tomorrow and not later today. Augusto Ferreira sitting on a 91. That Team Excellence R34. See if he can improve. He initiates into outer zone 1, looking good. Lots of angle down towards that inside clip, pushing all the way out to outer zone 2. Not quite to that yellow line, but makes it there through outer zone 3 and 4, dropping off a little bit of tire out of outer zone 3, but clean through that inside clip. The second one through the floating outer zone. Augusto Ferreira on a tear here. Not lifting either. He was planted that whole run.
Yeah, nicely done from Guto. 94.7 on the board. Here in group number 4. We'll see him in tomorrow's top 32 main event. Oliver Eppinger, we'll see him tomorrow as well. Currently sitting on that 91. Currently safe. 27th position. Can he better? Initiating in, filling outside zone number 1. Getting around that inside clip number 1. Could have been a little bit deeper there. Nicely done on the next one. That one as well. Drives into that inside just a little bit too soon. Has to work his way around the inside clip. And there we go. Final transition all the way up against the wall. Giving it a little tap before completing his second run.
Just a little love tap there at the very end from Oliver Eppinger. A 92.3 for run number 2. We move over to Matej Jorvek. Sitting on an 89.8. Can he also break into the 90s? Initiating in, looking good through outer zone 1, down towards that inside clip, maybe a little wide for the inside clip, but grabs all of outer zone 2 and 3, showing, hucking tons of angle into outer zone 4, makes up getting that inside clip all the way through The floating outer zone, tapping the wall just a little bit, but managing to stay on throttle and stay in it. Will it beat that 89.8?
Yeah, I'm not so sure. Yeah, 85.2 with that last wall tap there in that last and final outside zone. Was on track to put himself in tomorrow's main event, but we'll have to see him battle his way through that last 16 qualifying battles. Reese Tatterson just a little bit shy of that top 32 main event tomorrow. Will currently have to battle his way through as well, filling outside zone number 2. Can he better here on run number 2? Better than a 90.8 is what he needs. The transition for outside zone number 4, getting round inside clip number 2. Final transition along that wall, holds it together, crossing that finish line. Will it be enough to better that 90.2?
It is going to be close, but it is enough. 91.8. So hopefully, yeah, no, I think that secures the spot looking at the rest of the scores here. So next up to the line in that beautiful IS 300, Mustafa Amine, sitting on a 94.7 already. Could he maybe take the top spot today in qualifying? Initiates in, looking good through outer zone 1. Beautiful through the inside clip, and now feeling all of outer zone 2 into outer zone 3 and 4. Holding a lot of angle, looking nice through that inside clip. Getting all of the floating outer zone. Beautiful transition in that final wall ride. Mustafa Amine throwing it down. Will be enough to beat it.
Looking comfortable in the new car, new chassis. 96.2 on the board for Mustafa, so super safe. Tomorrow's event. Next up, Nick Hang, 92.7. He's safe as well. Can he better? Can he give himself a little bit better position for tomorrow? Filling outside zone number 1, tight to the inside clip. Little tire drop there at outside zone number 3. Near perfect on 4. Around that inside clip as well. Good on the floating box. Last transition. Outside zone. And there it goes across that finish line.
Hang looking excited. And I'd be excited too. Improving on that 92.7. And moving up to a 93.8. We have Dimitri Mitten at the line now, sitting on a 90.8. Dimitri Mitten wanting to improve, initiating in, looking good through outer zone 1. Drives it down towards that inside clip and looks good through outer zone 2. Makes the transition into 3 and 4, staying off that rumble. Nice drive around the next inside clip through that floating outer zone, and Dimitri Mitten looking good out here so far. That should hopefully be enough to improve that 90.8.
Yeah, actually needs to if he wants to be in tomorrow's top 32 main event or lock himself in and not have to do. And he does. 95.5 on the board. So yeah, that top 28 cutoff got a little bit higher. 91.8 is what is needed. Kevin Stump currently 88.2 on the board. Well, if he wants to lock himself in, needs to better the score now. Pressure's on. Still gets to go into the last 16 qualifying battles. He picks up that throttle, gets around that inside clip. A little bit late there for the box and transition, but he makes it work, crossing the finish line. Will it be enough?
It falls just shy with an 87, so we will see him in battles later on today to fight for a top 32 spot as we come to the last driver of qualifying before those last 16 battles, sitting on an 86.8. Maxime Tingai, we said in his first run he had a lot to clean up and that he could make it, but a big lock up there as he dives towards the inside clip. But through outer zones 2, 3, and 4, looking nice and clean and started to settle in through the floating outer zone. Now he's looking great, but another big checkup before the final outer zone. Will it beat it? I don't think so.
Yeah, he needs a 91.8 on the board in order to lock himself in tomorrow's event, and it falls way shy, 76.5, so he'll remain with that 86.8 on the board, and we'll pull up our full list here of those qualifying scores. So Vitaly staying on top, 97.3 on the board. Zach O'Sullivan, 96.5. Safa, 96.2. To round out your top 3 qualifiers here in the first round of season number 10. And again, just 24 hours of practice is what was allotted to these drivers. And boy, did they put on a show. Look at all the 90s on the board. And again, we've got our last 16 qualifying battles coming up shortly. We'll take a little bit of a break. But before we do, Tanner, yeah, what do you think?
I think it's absolutely crazy. I mean, we're round 1 into doing this for 10 seasons. And it never fails to shock me. You know, I sit here, and as much as, you know, some guys may have only gotten a low number and there's one guy going home today, that's still better than I could ever do. So it just rattles me, and I can't wait to see these last 16 battles and who's actually going to make it into the top 32 and get their chance really make it in. And I love that we do the last 16 battle. As for tomorrow, I mean, Vitaly is looking like he is on fire. So I think it's going to be a crazy fight, and he might make it all the way. We'll have to see, though, after the last 16 battles here in a little bit.
Yeah, give us a little preview of what's to come for tomorrow as well with these battles coming up. And just taking a look at the board here, if we didn't have the last 16 qualifying battles, the cutoff score would be a 90.5 from William Holloway in that 32nd position. But we go all the way to that 44th position as we see so many near perfect runs from these drivers, and it shows. And the last 16 qualifying battles has also shown where different drivers can come out on top regardless of where they qualify, make their way in. Sometimes it is that 44th driver that makes it into tomorrow's top 32 main event. But again, we will take a short break and come right back with those last 16 qualifying battles. Don't go anywhere. All right, and we are back. Round 1 qualifying for season number 10. Hard to believe it's season number 10. My name is Craig. With me, as always, is Tanner. This is the last 16 qualifying battles. What do you think, Tanner?
I think it's going to be nuts because, like, even just looking at everybody who's in the last 16, it's like any of these guys could be top 32 contenders. So that's what I love that we do this, because some people, might not be the best at qualifying. It does happen, but some of them are really strong in battles. So it's a really good way just to show off, like, hey, I still got this. I can do what it takes. And some of them have made it quite far even after making it through the last 16 into the top 32.
Yeah, absolutely. And a hefty little bracket we have in front of us. So we'll start from top left and work our way down within 2 groups. And it's going to be Lucas Pasquini and Daniel Mora up first for our first qualifying battles. Again, the top 4 here will go on into tomorrow's top 32 main event. They've got to get through 2 battles first. Once we have our final 4, we stop it there, and then we put those drivers into the bracket based on their qualifying scores. At the line.
They sure are, and I think we're ready to go for our first set of the last 16 battles. Starting things out in the lead lane with Lucas Pasquini, up against, in the chase lane, Daniel Mora. One in the E90, one in the E30. Lucas qualifying 29th. Daniel right down at the bottom for 44th. See how this goes. Lucas initiates in. Daniel right on his bumper, almost pushing him through the initiation. Touches his side door as they come through that inside clip. Now through the Manji section. Daniel trying to stay in that pocket. But Lucas doing a good job out front here to not be upset by that E30. Touching him a few times. They come through that final, second to last outer zone. And Daniel Mora right up against him again, shoving him into the wall. But Lucas doing a good job to stay out of it.
Yeah, getting a little bit into the door. We'll take a look at it on the replay here. Lucas out front, Daniel giving chase and getting a little bit out of whack right there on initiation. Maybe a little bit too close for Daniel. He starts to wash out there, heading down the hill for outside zone number 2. Working his way through now around that inside clip. Daniel trying to catch up. Perfect on the floating box, last and final transition, and just getting into the door, pushing him into the wall, and they're lined back up for the second half of their battle.
They sure are, with Daniel Mora now in the lead lane, having to do, well, a big job out front with Lucas ready to chase him down. After a scrappy first run, let's see if Daniel Mora can clean it up in the lead. Initiating in, Daniel Mora looks good off the initiation. Really on the attack, though, is Lucas in that chase as they come through outer zone 2, backing off for the Manji section here through outer zone 3 and 4. But now back up on the door, Lucas sticking right with Daniel through this whole course. They transition to the final outer zone, and he sticks right there with him. A good lead run, though, from Daniel. Really cleaned it up.
Yeah, I think you're right. Solid lead run out front with Daniel Mora. Lucas just keeping it super clean in that chase position. A little bit on the inside there of turn 1, but gets back into the pocket, backs up for the Manji section, and then reels him back in around this inside clip here up the hill. Daniel filling that box, could have been a little bit deeper, in the last and final dive there from Lucas in that chase position. And we go to our judges for the first time here for season number 10. Lucas on the left, Daniel on the right, and Lucas does get the win and advances further into the last 16 qualifying battles.
And a big congrats. One step closer is Lucas. We see who's going to face him in the next set of battles. Will it be Ethan Pikachu in the lead lane, or Kevin Stump chasing him down for run number 1? Ethan in the FD RX-7, Kevin in that S15 Sylvia. The lights go on and the battle is now underway. Ethan gets out of the gate clean, initiates in. Looking good off the initiation. Kevin leaving a bit of room through outer zone 1, but catching back up through that inside clip as they come into the Manji section through outer zone 2 and 3 now into 4. Kevin just staying a nice distance behind, taking out that inside clip as they come around to outer zone 5 now into 6. Looking clean through both drivers on run number 1.
Yeah, nice little way to start out the battle. Let's take another look here on the replay. Ethan out front leading Kevin Stump through the course. This might have even been where Kevin Stump received his license back in the day, back in 2019. And Kevin going after it in that chase position here against Ethan, reeling him in around this inside clip, does sacrifice some line and angle in that S15 back there, and a nice transition to finish out the run from Ethan out front, and we switch him around.
And switched around indeed at the line. Kevin Stump now in the lead lane. Ethan Pikachu ready to chase him down to see who will go on to see Lucas Pasquini in the next set of battles. The lights go on and off they go. Kevin Stump lighting up those tires all the way down the straight, initiating in, looking good through outer zone 1. Ethan right there on his door through outer zone 1, down through that inside clip into outer zone 2, mirroring him nicely through the Manji section as he backs out of it quite a bit in that chase, but now catches back up as they come up the hill. One more transition, one last wall ride, a little bobble from the lead, but it doesn't upset the chase, and they finish out the run clean.
Yeah, interesting little battle here. Let's take another look at the second half of the second battle here in the last 16 qualifying battles. Kevin Stump out front, flying through turn number 1, nice and clean down the hill, filling outside zone number 2. 3 could have been a little bit deeper on. 4 was on the money around that inside clip. Ethan making a dive back in that chase position, a little bit late there on that transition, makes it work, pulls out a little bit of angle, and across that finish line. So we go to our judges once more. Ethan on the left, Kevin on the right. And there it is, unanimous decision. Ethan Petrichow gets the win and moves deeper into the last 16 qualifying battles.
Good job there from Ethan, moving up, and who initially wouldn't have made it through is now continuing on with the battles. Next up, William Holloway in the lead lane up against Simon Sandman, chasing him down. William would have qualified right at the edge at number 32. Simon Sandman qualifying 41st, but now it's anyone's game to see who can make it into the top 32. Only 4 spots available, and only one can advance on as the lights go on. William makes it through the start gate clean. Now starts to get on throttle, initiating in. Big aggression from Simon off of that initiation. Sandman really going for it as they come through outer zone 2 now into 3. Doing a good job to match the angle, transitioning along the bumper. Simon is not giving him any breathing room, but Holloway doing a good job out front here to keep it smooth and tidy. There's maybe a little bit of bump in there through that final outer zone before they cross the finish line.
Yeah, let's take another look at it here. William Holloway out front, Simon Sandman giving chase. Initiating in, and look at the big dive before the initiation even happens from Simon back there in that chase position, and then getting out of angle there from outside zone number 2. Big dive there in that chase, sacrificing a lot of angle and line, getting into that inside clip. William, nicely done, picking up throttle in that last and final outside zone. We flip him around for the second half here.
And they are flipped around, ready to go. Simon Sandman now in the lead lane in that BMW. William Holloway ready to chase him down in that FD RX-7. Down the straight, initiating in. Simon already out front by a big margin, really gapping William Holloway off of that straight through the initiation. Holloway having to play catch up here through the Manji section, now on the door of Simon Sandman. as they come around that inside clip to that floating outer zone. One last transition, a little bobble from the lead, and Holloway really trying to force his way up to that door, but just couldn't quite make it before the finish.
Yeah, a big gap there through that last and final transition. Let's take another look at it. And getting left off the line is William Holloway back there in that FDRX7, but he's there with him through the Manji section by outside zone number 2 and stays with him around this turn here, around that inside clip. Nicely done on the floating box there, and there's that final transition. Falling a little bit shy is William. They go across that line. And we go to our judges once more here in the last 16 qualifying battles. William on the left, Simon Sandman on the right. We've got a one more time there in the middle from Ed, and a one more time from Chris as well. Carl goes William Holloway, but we're gonna see him line back up and come right on back to that line.
Well, the first one more time of the season. Good to see it happen so early. We wait for William Holloway to come back around into the lead lane. Simon Sandman will slot in to the chase once more. Clean it up, make it a little better. Gives both of the drivers and one more opportunity to make it through here the next spot in the next round of battles. Back at the line they are. They wait for those lights to come on. There they go. The lights ignite and off they go. William Holloway now out front. Simon Sandman already on the door through outer zone 1. A big tap to the front end of that RX7 as they come into that first inside clip. But now through outer zone 2 and 3, they've settled down. Luckily enough, it did not upset William Holloway through that first half of the course. They're coming through the second half now. Simon is putting on the aggression, being as aggressive as possible, not leaving the door of William Holloway to that line.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's take another look at it here. First half of the one more time battle. William Holloway out front, Simon giving chase. Initiating in a little bit more careful is Simon until there. A little bit of contact in turn number 1, heading down to the inside clip. Now filling outside zone number 3. Now 4. Looking good here around the inside clip is William out front, being reeled in by Simon through that turn. Last and final dive there. Simon makes it work, and there they go across that finish line.
Well, now into the second half of the one more time battle. Simon Sandman now in the lead lane. William Holloway ready to chase him down. Hopefully William doesn't get left behind at the light. That's the speed of Simon's BMW is quick out of the gate. Initiating in, leaving William behind just a little bit as they come through that inside clip down into outer zone 2. Williams managed to catch back up as they come through the Manji section, trying to get onto the door. Little wide through that inside clip goes Simon Sandman, but grabs that floating outer zone nicely. Williams sticking right there in the pocket, crossing the line. It's anyone's battle here today.
It's another close one. Let's take another look at it. Simon out front, William giving chase. Getting left behind a little bit is William again, but he does really slowly cuts a little bit of line and angle there heading into 2. Still not quite with him. Makes a dive here, sacrifices a little bit of line, but is that highlighted by Simon going a little bit wide of that inside clip. Nice final transition and outside zone by both of them. Yeah, either way, William Holloway on the left, Simon Sandman on the right. We will move further into the last 16 qualifying battles. From there, it's just one more win to secure their spot. Tomorrow's top 32. There it is. We have a decision. Chris, Ed. And Carl goes left for William. It's going to be William Holloway with a split decision, getting the win over Simon Sandman. Again, could have gone either way there. We really just wasn't sure who could have got that.
It was a very close battle indeed, but I think it really came down to that contact in the one more time run. that first run, that big contact into that inside clip, allowing William Holloway to move on to the next set of battles. Olivier now in the lead lane, and Linus ready to chase him down to see who will go up against William Holloway in the next set of battles. Olivier finds reverse. There's a gear. There we go. Up to the line. The lights go on. The first half of this battle's underway. Olivier leading things out. Linus ready to chase him down, initiating in right along the bumper, but big contact coming down the hill. That has to get Linus to back out of it, but it doesn't upset Olivier all that much. Thought he would have lost it there into outer zone 2, but he doesn't. Olivier under pressure now in the second half of the course as Linus is not leaving his door through this whole run.
Yeah, not giving up anything there. Let's take another look at it here. Olivier out front. Linus giving chase. Almost some contact before initiating, and yeah, just a massive dive. It seemed as though Olivier had picked up throttle. It'll be a case of whether he was jammed on the left foot brake or not. It didn't quite seem like it. They continue on like nothing really ever happened. Last and final transition, filling that last and final outside zone. There they go, finishing out the first half of their battle, even with contact.
Well, back around at the start gate, ready to go again. Linus Tornqvist in the lead lane. Olivier ready to chase him down. Lights go on. Second half of the battle's underway. Only one can move on to see William Holloway in the next set of battles, initiating in, looking good. Olivier already with the aggression out of outer zone 1, right along the door, but with no contact as they come into the Manji section. Looking good, really wide goes Olivier right up onto that rumble strip, but holds that door of Linus as they come through the final outer zone. Bobbling from the chase there, but another really close battle.
Yeah, let's take a second look. Linus out front this time, second half of their battle here in the last 16. Olivier giving chase and reeling him in quickly. Does sacrifice a little bit of angle there in that chase position, not quite matching it, but staying with him and holding good proximity until there. It goes a little bit deep for 4, but so does Linus out front for the inside clip. Last and final dive there, falls back a little bit, and there they go, crossing that finish line. Scrappy second half, and we'll go to our judges. Olivier on the left, Linus on the right. Judges may go back and watch, and here we go. We got a decision one more time from Chris up top there. Ed and Carl go left for Olivier, and Olivier moves on deeper into the last 16.
Olivier moving in to see William Holloway for a chance at being in the main event tomorrow in that top 32. Wow. I love these last 16 battles. I wish more series would implement this because this is so good. You know, you see guys that wouldn't initially have been in the main show, like Ethan Pikachu qualifying 36, and even Olivier qualifying 33rd, just missing out of that top 32, now has a chance to make it into the main event. And it just makes it so much better.
Yeah, absolutely. Really got to fight and crawl their way through, and that's one half of the bracket done. So the next group loading in now, and our first battle will be Cameron Mustard and Maxime Tengai. I believe they're coming up to the line now, already in the server, already ready to go.
Yeah, Cameron Mustard at the line in that new chassis, that Toyota Supra. It's sad to see the R32 go, but if he can make the Supra work for him. He's here in the last 16 battles. Maxime Tengai right beside him in that E36. Only one gets to move on. Cameron qualifying 30th, Maxime qualifying 43rd. The lights go on in this battle underway. Cameron initiates in, looking good out front. Taking Maxime a while to get there, but judging the distance for that downhill swoop into outer zone 2. They come through the Manji section. Maxime just keeping a good proximity towards Cameron here as they come through that inside clip and up to the floating outer zone. Now into the wall ride. Maxime starts to put on the pressure, gets up onto the fender, and they cross that finish line.
Let's take a second look here. Cameron Mustard out front, beating Maxime Tengai through the course here and getting away a little bit through that initiation, but Maxime reeling him in quickly, sacrificing a little bit of line, falls back here for the Manji section, and then makes another dive here coming up the hill and around inside clip number 2, but doesn't really make it stick. Last and final transition, goes for it again. This one works as they cross that finish line.
Well, now back around at the start gate, Maxime now leads out the second half of the run. Cameron Mustard ready to chase him down. Lights go on in the second half of the battle underway. Team trying to get out of the gate. A lot more speed, it looks like, from Cameron Mustard as they initiate in. He's right along the door through outer zone 1, down into that inside clip. Maybe a little bit of contact there coming into outer zone 2. They transition through the Manji section where Cameron leaves a lot of distance, but quickly makes up for it around that inside clip. They transition into the final outer zone. It almost looked like contact again there, but kept it clean through the finish.
Yeah, let's go back to the replay here. Maxime out front this time. The second half. Their battle, Cameron throwing it onto the door quickly, falls back a little bit, couple of bobbles there in that chase position, heading into outside zone number 2, and makes it work here, heading up to the inside clip. A little bit of a bobble, and makes it work, stays there with him, crossing that finish line. Let's go to our judges. Cameron on the left, Maxime on the right. And there it is, quick decision. Cameron Mustard gets the win in the new chassis, leaving that R32, switching to the Supra, and getting his first win here in the last 16.
Well, maybe the switch was worth it for Cameron. He's got one more battle to see if it was really worth it and try to make it into the main show tomorrow as Victor Alves slots into that lead lane underneath the start gate. We wait for Vladislav. Thinking about it, I don't see Vladislav in the server, and no, he did not make it in time for his run. It will be a bye run for Victor Alves. He gets one free run of practice here as he gets to send it in that team excellence BMW. Man, I can't say it enough at how good of a job their livery guy did on that livery. It looks so good on any car you put it on. We'll let Victor Alves have his run of practice, and he will move on against Cameron Mustard in the next set of battles.
Yeah, unfortunately, Vladislav not showing up for his last 16 qualifying battles. All right, Victor Alves, move forward, 35th qualifying position. Moving ahead.
Well, now to our next set of battles. Danilius Parangaukis in the Lexus in the lead lane with a beautiful body kit being chased down by the newcomer Juanin. Ready to chase him down. They initiate in. Lots of angle thrown by Danilius, but the newcomer of Juanin right there as they come through the Manji section. He's already transitioning along the bumper. Juanin saying he wants this. He wants to move on to the next set of battles. Danilius is not going to make it easy, though, as they say door to door through that final outer zone.
Yeah, good scrappy start. Let's take another look. Danielis Parangauskas out front. Juanin in that chase position, throws that car in and reels him in quickly. stays nice and smooth back there in that chase position, while Daniellis makes a little bobble there heading into outside zone number 2. Nicely done on 4 though, really by both of them. Good proximity by that chase, loading up for that last and final transition, makes it work, sacrificing a little bit of line, and they're back at the line for the second half of their battle.
Back at the line indeed, Juana now in that lead lane. Danelius ready to chase him down. The lights go on and the second half is quickly underway. They initiate in. Juanan looking good off the initiation. Danelius not quite aggressive to get right on the door, but slowly makes his way there towards outer zone 2. Now through the Manji section, leaving some room and trying to get right on that door through the inside clip. Juanan doing a good job out front here as there's one more outer zone to go. Maybe choking up that transition just a bit was Danelius, but he sticks right to the door through the end.
Yeah, let's go back to the replay here. Juanan out front. Yauska's in that chase position, leaving a little bit of space in between them two through turn number 1. A lot of space there before that first transition, and then waits and makes the dive there for turn number 2 around that inside clip, picking up that floating box out there. Good final transition out front, but not quite from that chase. It could go either way here, I think. You're in this battle. Danielis on the left, Juanan on the right. Winner moves further into the last 16 qualifying battles, one step closer to tomorrow's top 32 main event. Do we have a winner here? Will we see him go one more time? We have a one more time from Carl down there at the bottom. Chris and Ed go right for Juanan. Juanan gets the win, his first win here in the Virtual Drift Championship, here in the last 16 qualifying battles. Again, one step closer, qualifying 42nd as well.
Yeah, that's got to feel good for the newcomer. First time, first win. Now you've gotten all the nerves out of the way. Now it's just focus for the end as we come to our last set of the last 16 battles before moving into our last 8 and slotting in the top 4 for the top 32 competition tomorrow. Matej Oravec up against Alexander Jaeger. Matej will be in the lead lane. Alexander chasing him down in the Toyota Supra. The lights go on. The last of the last 16 battles is underway. Initiating in, looking good for Matej up front. Alexander Jaeger trying to get right up on that door, and he does so, leaving just enough room for the transition out of outer zone 2 into 3. Wow, right along the bumper, leaving 4, taking out that inside clip a little bit, but almost nudging him up the hill, saying you need to get a little bit more wheel speed, and doesn't leave the door through the second half of the course.
Oh my goodness gracious. Let's take another look at that. Matej out front. Alexander Jaeger returning back in the Supra in that chase position. Leaves a little bit on the table there through that initiation, but reels him in quickly for inside clip number 1. Stays relatively with him through the Manji section, and then their slow dive there catches up in the pocket for inside clip number 2, and then bang on the bumper through that transition along the wall across that finish line, and we'll flip him around.
Flip him around indeed. Alexander Jaeger now in that lead lane. Matej Oravec ready to chase him down. One advances on to see the newcomer Juanan coming off of his win against Danelius. Who will it be? The lights go on and off. They don't. We try it again. The lights go on and off they go. Alexander Jaeger again in that lead in the Toyota Supra. Matej ready to chase him down. They initiate in. Already a big gap there from the initiation, but quickly Matej gets back into proximity. They come through outer zone 2, transitioning along the bumper to outer zone 3. Matej starting to apply the pressure now from that chase, but Alexander able to run away just a little bit more, as there might have been a little contact there on the transition. They finish out the run side by side.
Yeah, let's take a closer look, see if we can see any contact here. Alexander out front, getting away a little bit through the run up. Matej catching up for inside clip number 1, falls back a little bit right along the bumper for that transition into 4. Around the inside clip, a little tight is Alexander out front. And it's close. I mean, it was absolute bumper to bumper through that last and final transition. Hard to tell, but we'll go to the judges and let them sort that out. So Matej is on the left, Alexander on the right. Last and final, last 16 battle before the last 8. And it looks like we have a decision. Alexander Jaeger gets the unanimous victory over Matej. Matej doing a great job though for his first round of VDC, but Alexander moves forward. Again, 39th qualifier. Let's take a look at the bracket. Look at there. Lucas Pasquini moving forward. Ethan Pikachu as well. William Holloway. Olivier Blias. Cameron Mustard. Victor Alves. Juanan. And Alexander Jaeger. All right, well, and our next battle coming to the line.
And now we move into that last 8 battles. Lucas Pasquini will be leading things out in the E90 with Ethan Pikachu, the veteran, chasing him down. Both of them want to get into the main show tomorrow. Only one advances on. The lights go on, down the straight they go, initiating in, looking good off the initiation. Crazy aggression from Ethan, but going wide as he tries to stay along the door of Lucas Pasquini as they come through the Manji section. Ethan sticking right on the bumper as they come out of outer zone 4 towards that inside clip, along the door, through that floating outer zone. Looking good from both drivers here, lead and chase, but Ethan giving him no breathing room in that run.
Not at all. And so he washes a little wide here after initiation, but I think it's highlighted even more so by Lukasz out front, driving in a little bit too soon there. We see there he's getting to the inside before the inside clip. We want those drivers apexing that turn right at the inside clip, and Ethan does a good job to deal with it while also washing just a little bit wide as well. Last and final transition there, right along that door, staying with him across that finish line. We flip him around.
Now back at the start gate, Ethan Pikachu now in the lead lane. Lucas Pasquini looking to maybe secure that spot. There's only one four available, but only one for this battle. As the lights go on, Ethan now in the lead, initiates in. Lucas right there with them as he comes through outer zone 1, wheel to wheel down to that inside clip as they come into outer zone 2, right along that track edge, dropping a little bit of tire for the lead. But Lucas not moving an inch as they come out of outer zone 4 through that inside clip. Both of them doing a beautiful job here. Lucas looking amazing in that chase, and they finish out that run door to door.
Yeah, they sure do. A close battle here in the qualifying battles. Ethan out front in the second half. Lukasz in that chase position. Right there with him through turn number 1. We see that tiny little tire drop from Pikachu out front, using a little bit of that rumble as well, and then drives into the inside, maybe just a hair too soon, but grabs that floating box out there. Last transition, a little bobble there across that finish line. A tough one to call for the judges. Lukasz on the left, Ethan on the right. And there it is. Lukash getting the win, unanimous victory over Ethan. And he'll find himself in the top 32 main event tomorrow.
Well, a big congratulations to Lucas Pasquini for your first theoretical win, at least in the last 16 battles. Now let's see what you do in the top 32 tomorrow as we move on to our next battle. William Holloway and Olivier Belias. William Holloway in the FD, Olivier in that E36. 3 spots remain, 1 more for this battle. The lights go on and off they go. Trying to find the traction. William Holloway initiates in. Olivier right there with him as they come through outer zone 1 down towards that inside clip. Now out to outer zone 2. Olivier doing a good job to stay in the pocket of William Holloway as they transition through outer zone 3 and 4 around that inside clip. Right along the doors, Olivier, as they come into that final outer zone. Olivier giving him no breathing room as they come across that finish line.
Yeah, good start here to the battle. William out front, Olivier giving chase, really going after it there through that initiation and making it work, catching a little bit of that rumble strip, upsetting the car in that chase position just a tiny bit, but deals with it nicely. Reels William back in that chase position. William going a little bit wide there for that floating box, but nicely done along that wall, but Olivier pushing him across that finish line.
Both these drivers absolutely capable of making it into the top 32. Shame they're here in the last 16, but one advances on. Will it be Olivier? Will it be William Holloway? Lights go on for the second half of this battle. They initiate in through outer zone 1. Lots of angle from Olivier out front. William doing a good job to match as they come into that inside clip now through outer zone 2. Maybe a little tap there from William Holloway in that chase. They go as he loses ground a little bit through the Manji section, trying to make up for it as they come back up the hill into that final outer zone. William Holloway gets back on the door, but will it be enough?
Yeah, will it be enough indeed? Take another look. Olivier now out front, second half of this battle here. William sacrificing some angle there in that chase position, getting up on the rumble strip just a little bit as well for that inside clip number 1, down into outside zone number 4 now. A little offline, really kind of by both, but much worse from William in that chase position, trying to reel him back in there as well. That last and final dive across that finish line, and we go to our judges. William on the left, Olivier on the right. Winner moves on into the top 32 main event tomorrow. 10 a.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. GMT. We've got a one more time from Chris. Up to Ed and Carl. Ed goes right for Olivier, and we've got another one more time from Carl, so they're gonna line back up.
Well, a second one more time here in the last 16 battles, and now we're into the last 8. The winner of this moves on to fill one of the 3 remaining spots in the top 32 competition tomorrow. So, William Holloway will come back around, same with Olivier Belias. Try and duke it out. Who moves on? William Holloway will take the lead lane. Olivier will chase him down here for the one more time run number 1. Plotted in position, they wait for the lights to light up, and there they go. William Holloway gets ready, initiates in. Olivier right there with him as they come through outer zone 1, and they dive towards that inside clip. Olivier right along the door as they come through outer zone 2, leaving just enough room for that transition into the Manji section. William Holloway looking really good this time around out front. As, big contact there from Olivier as they came into outer zone 5. And now through 6, Olivier trying to regain it, but maybe too much break from the lead. We'll let our replay decide that.
Yeah, let's take another look here. William out front, initiating in, filling outside zone number 1. Does drive to the inside quite too soon. Has to left foot break his way around the inside clip number 1 as they move forward here. Round inside clip number 2. Olivier, yeah, getting into the door a little bit. I'm not sure I saw him break or anything. It does throw off that last transition as well. Real scrappy there at the end of the run.
Very scrappy indeed, and something for our judges to look at when deciding the winner of this one more time battle. One more run to go. Olivier now in the lead lane. William Holloway ready to chase him down. One spot available to one of these drivers. Lights go on and off they go. Olivier initiates in, looks good off the initiation, lots of angle through outer zone 1. William Holloway gives him a little tap down the hill as they come into outer zone 2. Matches angled nicely through the Manji section as they come into that next inside clip. William Holloway dives that inside, really trying to get back on the door of Olivier Belias as they come through the final outer zone. And a little bit of surging there from that chase to try to stay as close as possible.
Yeah, let's take another look here. Olivier out front here in the one more time between these two. William Holloway giving chase, big angle out front from Olivier. Nice initiation, maybe a little tap there. Around inside clip number 1, filling outside zone number 3 and 4 is Olivier getting around that inside clip as well. Big dive from William in that chase position. Last and final transition, sacrificing a lot of angle in that chase position. I think it's more going to come down to the first half of that one more time battle. We had a lot of contact and really kind of messing up the run there. I don't know. We'll wait and see from these judges. Williams on the left, Olivier's on the right. One more time battle between these two. Again, winner moves on into the top 32 main event tomorrow. Hearing as well that I believe Victor is having some technical difficulties, so I believe we'll skip that battle. And we do have a decision. Olivier gets the win over William Holloway, and we'll see him in tomorrow's top 32 main event. 33rd qualifier making it through.
So Olivier making it through, taking one of the 4 spots. Now only 2 remain as we move on to our next battle with Juan and Alexander Yegert. Alexander slowly creeping to the line.
Yep, gonna skip Cameron Muster and Victor, and Alexander should be leading first. Yep.
Exactly. So Alexander Yegert will be leading things out. And the newcomer, Juan, so close to a top 32 spot. They initiate in. Alexander Yeager looks great up front. Way over speed, though, for the chase driver. Losing some ground as they come through outer zone 2. Now into outer zone 3 and 4. He's caught back up the chase to the lead as they are door to door now through the second half of the course into the final outer zone. Little bobble there from the chase. They cross the finish line. That was an interesting first half of the battle.
Yeah, really started to make up for it in the latter half. We'll take another look here. Alexander getting off to a good start, and we see Juan and wash out. Now, Alexander does get to the inside and maybe a little bit too soon. Drops a little bit of tire there. Drops a little bit of tire there as well. Tiny little bit of rumble strip. Ends up on the inside of inside number 2. But grabs that box, and then a little tire drop there before heading into that last and final outside zone. So lead wasn't quite perfect as well, but a big mistake in that chase.
Well, let's see how the second half of the battle unfolds here. Juanin now in the lead lane. Alexander ready to chase him down. Initiating in, looking good. Alexander with the aggression right off the initiation, right along the door of Juanin as they come through outer zone 2. Not as deep in outer zone 2 as Alexander would have liked to be. Craig, I'm going to need you to take over here as my game has crashed.
Oh no, that's not good. We'll continue on last and final transition. Popping out of the smoke is Alexander. We'll go to our replay. Juanin out front this time, second half of the battle. Has some making up to do, needs to be really good out front. And that initiation is pretty solid, but Alexander taking advantage. Does have a little bobble there back in that chase, falls back significantly here in the Manji section, but then reels him in for the inside clip. Number 2 stays with him through this last and final transition. Look at there. Cross that finish line. And we'll go to our judges. Juanin on the left. Alexander on the right. And there it is, unanimous all the way down the board. One more time.
Well, good thing a one more time happened. It gives my computer a chance to redeem itself. But no, both these drivers, I mean, one more time. This is a third one more time now here in the last 16. We're into the last 8, 2 spots left. We'll see what happens. Alexander Jaeger now up front. Juanin ready to chase him down one more time. Only one advances on. Out of the start gate they come. Down the straight, initiating in. Alexander Jaeger looking good right to angle. Juanin right there with them as they come through outer zone 2, now into 3. Juanin leaving no room on these transitions through the Manji section. Really trying to show out here as they come through that floating outer zone. Maybe a little wide for Alexander Jaeger, not only through the inside clip, but for the floating outer zone. But he keeps a good job through that final outer zone and finishes out the run.
Yeah, some similar lead mistakes out front from Alexander Jaeger. Let's take another look at it. Fills outside zone 1, does a much better job of turn 1 there, apexing that turn right at the inside clip. Doesn't drop a tire there, but does drop a tire for 3, uses some rumble strip as well, and then a little bit too far on the inside, around that floating box there. Last and final transition, we see a little puff of dirt, but Juanin not doing too bad of a job back there in that chase position. Can he capitalize here in the second half?
We'll see what happens here. Juanin now out front. Alexander Jaeger ready to chase him down as lights go on in the second half of this one more time. Battle's underway with only one spot to go between them. They initiate in. Good initiation from our lead of Juanin. But Alexander Jaeger right there on the door as they come through that inside clip, leaving just enough room for the Manji sector. Maybe a little more room than what Juanin left during his chase run as they come up into that final, second to last outer zone. But oh, Alexander Jaeger almost cutting off the transition. I don't know how Juanin got past it, but he did and finishes out the run.
Yeah, he sure did. I mean, really, like, he was absolutely unaffected. Let's take another look at it here. They initiate in. Almost late from Juanin out front. Grabs that inside clip. It's in deep to outside zone number 2, 3 as well. Good transition, staying off the rumble strip there. Getting around that inside clip. Yeah, just a tiny little bit of contact there. I mean, barely affected those two cars heading into that last and final outside zone, but we'll go to our judges. And one more time battle between these two. There it is, Juanin getting the win over Alexander Yegard and finds himself in the tomorrow's top 32.
Second driver now that is qualified outside of the top 32 is now into the top 32. Absolutely great driving from both of these guys as we move over to our final battle of the last 16. Cameron Mustard in the lead lane up against Victor Alves after getting a bye run on his last battle. Well, now only one victory stands between them and making it into tomorrow's show. The lights go on and off they go. Cameron Mustard out front. Victor Alves ready to chase him down. Initiating in. Looking good for Cameron out front. Victor Alves on the attack. Off the initiation. Already on the door as they come through outer zone 2. Now into outer zone 3. Losing a lot of ground through the Manji section is Victor Alves though. But now starting to reel him back in. Cameron Mustard doing a good job out front here in his new chassis. Ditching the R32. But a good run overall between these two.
Yeah, not too bad. Ditching the last and final outside zone a little bit there at the very end, though. Let's take another look. Cameron Mustard out front. And that A90 nicely done for turn number 1. Getting to that inside clip. Victor right there in that chase, and that much bigger BMW falling back significantly through the Manji section. A little wide is Cameron Mustard out front. Nice on the little floating box there. Nice and final transition, and then yeah, just a little bit too much angle there in the middle. Kind of drives out of that zone right at the end.
Well, back around at the start gate. Victor Alves now in the lead lane. Cameron Mustard ready to chase him down. Final battle for today underway before our main competition tomorrow. Initiating in, looking good for Victor Alves. Maybe a late transition there. I'll have to see in the replay, but right away, Cameron Mustard on the door as they come through the Manji section, transitioning right along the bumper as way wide goes Victor Alves, missing out on that inside clip and going wide for the floating outer zone, but gets into the pocket for the final wall ride. Well, let's see the replay on that battle.
Yeah, is that gonna be it for Victor? Let's take another look. He's out front. Cameron Mustard giving chase. Almost some contact there before initiating in. Bumper to bumper. Cameron staying with him through turn number 1. Nicely done from Victor out front. Cameron doing a better job here through this section in the chase. And there we see Victor go super wide of that inside clip, wide of the floating box, and it's a little late on his transition to get to that last and final outside zone. Will that be all she wrote? Cameron Mustard on the left. Victor Alves on the right. Again, last and final battle here for qualifying. Winner moves on into the top 32 main event. And there it is, Cameron Mustard getting the win over Victor Alves, and we'll see him in tomorrow's top 32 main event. We'll pull up the bracket there to see how it all played out. So Lukasz Pasquini qualifying 29th. He'll slot into that 29th position tomorrow. Cameron Mustard qualifying 30th will also slot into that 30th position tomorrow. And then Olivier Blias qualifying 33 will slot into that 31st position. And Juanin qualifying 42nd, moving into the 32nd position, and we'll see him in tomorrow's top 32 main event. Again, starting 10 a.m. 10 a.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. GMT. Man, this was fun to start out season 10. Tanner, what you think?
It's a great way to start out season 10, and I think we're just in for such a show tomorrow. Looking at just how the battles are already playing out on this track, it can be anyone's game. And I think tomorrow, set an alarm, set a reminder, hit the notification bell, get ready, because I think it's going to be a crazy start to the season.
Yeah, absolutely. And there is your, we'll say unofficial top 32 bracket up on the screen now. Vitaly again qualifying first, Zach O'Sullivan qualifying second at the top of the bracket there. Again, 90s all the way across the board through qualifying, and then yeah, battles super fun to watch there. In the last 16, we had a bunch of one more times already. I'm starting to worry about how many one more times we'll have tomorrow. But it should be all good and fun. Again, short day for us. This almost feels weird, Tanner, cutting this short here.
Yeah, I mean, it is definitely weird looking at the time and going, you mean I have the whole day ahead of me? For those that aren't on the other side of the world, it's like 10:30 in the morning here. So we wake up very early to do this.
Yeah, absolutely. So do some of these drivers all the way over on the West Coast. Very early drivers meeting for them today, William Holloway included. But that's going to do it for qualifying. We've got our top 32 main event tomorrow, again starting 10 a.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. GMT. Tune in. We'll get it scheduled right away on YouTube. We'll post a couple of things from qualifying, maybe a little bit of highlights. And then we'll see all of you tomorrow. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you to our partners as well: Sim Magic, Grip Roll, Joko Design, Fourth and Mods, Geronimo Designs, and AliYusuf.com. Fantastic. Again, see you all tomorrow for Top 32's main event.